I guess you just can't keep a good ghost face down. Here we are at Scream 6. It's made it 6 movies in now. That's pretty great. It does the heart good, knowing that this franchise has endured, geez, for close to 30 years now, if you can believe that. Since beginning in '96, I guess, with the original Wes Craven film, which I saw when I was much younger. Obviously, fell in love with it. Fell in love with the series. I'm a big fan, so it's good to know that we're still kicking out these Scream movies, and now we're on 6, and this is it's from the same team as last year's Scream, which was Scream 5, but they called it Scream, from directors Matt Bettinelli-Olpin and Tyler Gillette. They're back for Scream 6. This time they're just calling it Scream 6, so I guess that's progress. And there's good news and bad news with Scream 6, I guess, and there will be spoilers here, so fair warning. Uh, Bad news, I'll tell you, this is probably the worst of the Scream movies. But the good news is, even the worst isn't so bad. I mean, I can't say it's a bad movie. It's actually a very, very good movie. It's just a lesser movie than the other 5, I guess, which is fine, and kind of expected in a certain kind of way. As Randy said in Scream 2, a sequel by its very definition is inferior, and that's true. And it's kind of a matter of trying to keep things fresh, which they, I think they do fairly well for this film, mainly by taking it into a brand new location. So it's not the small Woodsboro town as we saw in some of the others. Not something as grand and kind of connected to the horror movie genre as, say, Hollywood was with the third film. But we have New York, just because it's kind of a fun setting, and they make the best of that by putting in like a little Jason Takes Manhattan Easter egg in it. Of course, like they couldn't resist that. And there's definitely opportunities with that, that I think they are able to really hone in on, which is good. And with a Scream movie, there's 6 movies in now. We've come to expect certain things, a certain kind of formula, I guess, certain tentpole elements that we all kind of expect to see in these movies. Like, of course, there's always going to be a big opening scene with a killing, of course. That's cutting to the main title, and all that. And of course, we expect the big rules scene, where, I mean, in essence, the movie is justifying its own existence, kind of explaining itself and what to expect within the movie. And of course, we expect the big reveal at the end of the killer or killers, and they kind of justify their existence and explain everything. And with all those, with those core 3, not core 4, core 3 elements, I'd say it's probably the weakest of all of them. I would argue. I would argue. Though the opening bit is kind of interesting. Like, it is kind of fun to think about. Well, what if we had kind of like a wannabe team of killers who don't do a good job? Like, that's kind of what we get here with the opening murder of a cameo by Samara Weaving, of course, from Ready or Not. We expect her to. Well, you always hear about the cast of the movie. You're like, oh wow, Samara Weaving's in it. No, she's just in the beginning. She gets killed. But then we reveal the killer right away, and it turns out it's just this dumb film student who has stupid reasons, which I guess they all have stupid reasons at the end of it, but maybe not. And then the real Ghostface kind of gets them. So that's kind of the main twist of the opening, which is not bad, and you do kind of wonder about that. Like, what if we have these full movies of these killers going through their whole plan, but what if there happens to be more that we just don't see because they're just inept and not effective? So I mean, I guess there's that. I always thought it'd be kind of funny if, like, what if there was a scream killer who like gets caught by the police like immediately because they're so sloppy? That might have been funny too. Which in a sense I guess they are, but I guess it's neither here nor there. With the whole rules scene, that's also kind of the weakest, just because I mean, again, 6 movies in, how do we? And that was probably first going into this. I saw this when it came out back in April. That was what I was kind of looking forward to most. I always love those. Let's explain what's the purpose of this movie, what's behind it, and everything like that. And the last time around, I thought, hey, did a good job. It was a requel, which is it's a real true thing, and this one just kind of expands on that a little bit, saying, well, yes, this is a requel, but now we're in a franchise where the rules now basically that there are no rules. Anybody can die. Well, I mean, it's the same with everything, right? But it was fine. It was done well, and kind of taking the mantle from Jamie Kennedy from the previous films, and I suppose Kirby from Scream 4, Hayden Panettiere. We have Jasmine Savoy Brown, who's very good. This is her second Scream movie. She does a great job delivering these rules and this whole kind of monologue, which is great. I mean, she does a terrific job, I think, and sells it, which is important. You got to sell it, and I think she, you know, has become one of these core characters, the core four they call themselves. We have their survivors from the previous film, and I mean with the final reveal and all that. Maybe I'm jumping ahead a little bit, but I mean we kind of get kind of a silly thing where if you recall in the last movie, it was Sam's boyfriend, Jack Quaid, right? Richie is the character's name. He turned out to be the killer, and his girlfriend. And I guess he has this long lost family. He has the father, played by Dermot Mulroney, who's the cop in the movie. He has a brother and a sister, and they're all trying to get revenge on Sam for killing poor Richie. And they went through this whole elaborate plot of not only the series of killings as we expect in this movie, but a whole kind of not quite seen between movies sort of deal where they're spreading rumors about her on the internet, conspiracy theories about her, where it's that she is the true killer and Richie was framed and all that. I don't know, kind of silly. This whole family of ghost face killers. I mean, it's kind of cool but kind of stupid at the same time. And just like the whole, it's a weird thing to me. I don't know what it is about these more recent, these two recent ones, the non-Wes Craven movies, where we have kind of another kind of expected element is that the killer is within the group of friends, right? So they're kind of keeping themselves hidden in plain sight and all that, and you just kind of wonder, well, I mean, are they revolving their whole lives around this terrible plan? It's like they follow the other sister, Tara, played by Jenna Ortega, to her university in New York. Do they enjoy their education there, or do they have aspirations? I don't know. Like, we don't really. The only thing we know for sure is that they take a film class, right? Whatever their major, maybe that's their major. I don't know. Their education is not important. It's the least important thing about the college life in this movie. It's more about the parties and the friendships, which I suppose might be sort of true of real life anyway. But Jenna Ortega's character, she has a roommate, Quinn, who's sex positive, right? The slutty roommate, they call her. What's going on with it? Like, I mean, she fakes her death in the movie to keep her off the trail, right? And her father, being the cop, is like, I was able to put in a fresh body for the other policemen to find. Did you know how easy that is? Okay. That's one of the pros with the monologue when like there's like three different instances of the saying. Do you have any idea how easy it was to dot dot dot? Like, okay, no, please tell me. Please explain it a little bit. I don't know. You have to kind of suspend your disbelief just a little bit with this kind of crazy planning. And then there's Ethan, her brother, and you know it's a trio of father, son, daughter, killers. Great, whatever. Who cares? It's stupid. It's silly, but it's like more of a personal kind of angle to it, I guess. And that was all fine, you know. But maybe you can't get too clamped down in this kind of stuff. You just gotta kind of go with it a little bit. I mean, there's some soap operatic kind of stuff here, long like within the whole Scream movie. Long lost brothers, long lost sisters, long lost fathers. I mean, Sam, the character, she's obviously she's Billy's daughter, Skeet Ulrich from the original film. There's that, and that was kind of hard to swallow with the previous movies. So I mean, yeah, you got all this stuff, but though that's pretty much where my nitpicks kind of end with the movie. It has it where it counts. I mean, it really does. I mean, for one thing, there was definitely an effective passing of the torch, I would say, from Sydney, who was definitely front and center of the original four. Then with the fifth, kind of just more of a supporting role where we had the two sister characters, Sam and Tara Carpenter. Horror director last name. Wow. Those sister characters kind of taking in the light a little bit. And then now here we are in the next movie, and we have come to care for these characters quite a bit. I think they're very good. And, it's kind of an incredible thing. I mean, this is, the second Scream movie we've gotten in as many years, which is just the way I like it. That's great. It's incredible to think how much Jenna Ortega's fame grew between movies. Like the very first movie, you're like, oh, I don't really know who this is. She's good. She like appears in X as well, and probably some other things. But I mean, obviously, it's in no small part thanks to her role in Wednesday. That kind of became this huge thing. She became a huge star. Like everybody knows Jenna Ortega now. So maybe the next movie is going to get a little more expensive unless she has some contractual restrictions. But what have you? It's great to see her. Great to see the sister bond within the movie. I mean, it's a little cheesy. There's this whole thing. There's this whole overarching theme of like, oh, you have to let me go and trust me to be my own person. And there's like a very literal moment where she has to let her go, and she just thanks for letting me go. Great. A little cheesy, but it's fine. It works because I think the characters have earned it because they are likable characters. They're likable actors. And we've been through a lot with them, and we're kind of continuing that journey. And it is an effective, I'd say, more effective sequel to Scream 5, like a part 2 of Scream 5, than it is an overall Scream 6. But obviously, to keep the consistency, we do have the returning characters. We have Gale Weathers once again returning, Courtney Cox, who must have a great agent. She's first billed in the movie, though it is more of a supporting role. She's an executive producer on the movie. She won I think an MTV Movie Award for Best Fight against Ghostface. That's pretty cool. And she's back. We love Gale Weathers. She's a great character, and she has some good moments in this. And yeah, like what's even pointed out in the movie is like there were no other times in the Scream series where she actually got a call from Ghostface. So they're able to kind of make up for that. And there's a really good scene where she is on the phone with Ghostface, and there's a whole chase and confrontation, and it's really good. Sydney isn't in the movie. Gail says she's safe. She sends her love. She deserves a happy ending. Great. I agree with that. Maybe she shouldn't have been in the movie anyway, but there was kind of put a damper on the movie. You know, you heard about she wanted some. Maybe she didn't have as good as an agent as Courtney Cox, but she wanted a certain amount of money. Producers said, "Nah, we're not doing that." She's like, "Okay, I won't be in the fucking movie, so fuck you, pay me." So she's not in it. That's a little disappointing, but I mean, maybe like who knows what they would have done if she had been in the movie. Like maybe they would have killed her off or some stupid bullshit. So yeah, maybe it's true. She does deserve the happy ending, and let's leave her be. Shocking return. We have Hayden Panettiere as Kirby, fan favorite from Scream 4, right? She's great. Great seeing her back. I mean, we kind of thought like between all these movies, there was a whole kind of thing, and I think there was like an Easter egg in Scream 5 where it's like, is she alive? Turns out she is, and there's kind of this good moment of kind of the previous movies horror geek expert with Kirby kind of hanging out with the current horror expert Mindy. They're sharing their little quick quizzes with each other. Which horror movie? What's the best Nightmare on Elm Street? The original. Psycho 2 is underrated. Though I don't think anybody would say that the original Candyman and the new Candyman are equals. That's the one part where I was kind of like, I don't know about this, writers. So there's that. But she is great to see. She's like a cop now, and she's devoted her whole life has been leading up to this, and there's a whole kind of suspicion of her. Did she crack under the pressure after hearing about the previous Woodsboro massacre, and that she you know become a killer herself? But no, we trust and love Kirby, so Kirby's all right. Where it counts, the movie has the good stuff. I mean, good chases, good violent scenes. Like they amp up the blood in this one, like especially with the last act. I mean, there's always going to be, you know, the reveal, the monologuing, and I have my issues with that. But where it counts is it's a great showdown at the end between the two sisters, the Carpenter sisters, and Richie's vengeful family. So it's great. And there's the moment on the subway with Mindy, and like another thing is the whole movie takes place around Halloween time, right? So that's really cool. So not only in New York, but it's also Halloween season. That's great. So that was a really good scene, and great scene with trying to get from one apartment across the other on the ladder. That was great. So I mean, it does a good job where it counts, I would say. Some brutal stuff, and always great, you know, ghost face, cat and mouse kind of conversations. So it's just that it's not as good as the other ones, I'd say, but it's still very good. And I think what does it matter what I say? Because I think this is actually the highest grossing of all the Scream movies. I think definitely more than it at least made more than the previous one, and certainly more than Scream 4, which neither did great. Scream 4 just kind of, I don't know, maybe the timing wasn't right for it. People weren't super into it. But I love Scream 4. But with 5, I think they're still kind of like, still kind of going around COVID era kind of, yeah, not everybody going to the movies, but seems to be people are going back to the movies and stuff. Thanks to Tom Cruise and everything like that. So Scream 6, huge hit. And I guess we're going to be having a Scream 7 pretty soon, which it's not going to be from the same team, if I'm not mistaken. I actually think it's going to be, at least last I heard, it's going to be from the director of Happy Death Day, Christopher Landon. So that would actually be pretty interesting, because I thought Happy Death Day was pretty good, and he did Freaky as well. So maybe there will be more kind of parodic elements to it, a little bit more humor. Maybe there's always like a little humor sprinkled in, of course, with the Scream movies. These last two, just I don't know what it was. Like they just ultimately, I don't think they're quite as transcendent in a way as I'd say the first four were. And maybe that does have to do with Wes Craven, but there's kind of hyper reality to it, to those movies where we both we as the audience and the characters themselves, they do have a sense that they are within an actual movie, kind of, I don't know, like a Quentin Tarantino kind of thing. But with these previous two, they've been played a little bit more straight, a little bit more in reality, a little bit more CW drama kind of vibe to them, which they do well, and they're fine with the characters, but they feel like they believe in their own realities a little too strongly for my liking. So that's why I'll maybe it is the Wes Craven angle that he kind of knows better than that. That kind of keep them out of my personal favorites. But I mean, again, I'll say absolutely, there hasn't been a bad Scream movie yet. So Scream 7, it's the one to drop the ball. So let's hope that doesn't happen. Let's hope it kind of continues. Maybe Ghostface will go to space. Maybe it'll be a crossover or something. So really, what do you do with the next one? There have always been kind of these angles to the Scream movies. Obviously Scream 2, it's about a sequel. Scream 3 is about trilogy. Scream 4 is the remake. Scream 5 is the requel. This one is the franchise entry. So you can't go into the next one saying, hey, it's another franchise entry. No, there's got to be something, some kind of angle. So I'm looking forward to the next one. But this one, solid movie, has it where it counts, very entertaining, good characters, really liked it, worth checking out if you're a Scream fan, though I'm sure, you don't need me to tell you that. I'm sure you've already seen it like 6 times before listening to this review. But yeah, it was great to see, because I missed Scream 5 in the theaters. I was able to catch this one in theaters, which was great. And I guess another thing you look forward to in the Scream movies, there's always like the casting call at the end where you see the cast. Which is kind of funny because the actress playing Anika in the movie, Devin Nakota, she's a Brantford, Ontario native, and during the end in the theater, everybody clapped when they showed her credit. So that was great. So some Canadian pride to end with this review. But yeah, solid movie. I enjoyed it. I'm going to be doing some horror movie reviews throughout spooky season. Maybe we're starting a little bit earlier. Why not, right? So stay tuned for more. Stay scared. And until next time, I'll see you later.